Dear viewers, in the series of Minitab tutorials video, in this video we are going to understand about time series plot. Time series plot is a graphical representation available in Minitab to analyze data in a chronological order. When I say chronological order, with respect to time, data collected in a time series. Let's get into this video. As I was explaining in introduction, in Minitab, as part of the graphs that we have, one of the graphs that we have is a time series plot. And if I keep my mouse pointer on the time series plot, the mouse pop-up message says, plot the data in the order as it appears in the Minitab worksheet to determine whether there is a trend or a seasonal pattern. So the purpose of the chart is to analyze data with respect to time to understand whether there is a trend or a seasonal pattern. That is the objective. So when I click on this particular tab, it opens up the time series plot window. And if you see in this time series plot window, you understand there are different types of time series plots that we can draw. We can draw for a single parameter. We can draw for multiple parameter. We can also draw for a single parameter with groups, and we can also draw for multiple parameters with the group. So as you understand this multiple parameter with this group, in my next video I will be explaining at what stage we can move away from time series plot and use another graphical representation called multivariate chart. So that I will explain as a separate video. As of now, we will understand about time series plots. Now, if I select this option single, the simple one with one single parameter, and then if I click OK, a window like this opens up. So here I have price of a company A, company B, stock price collected in the month of or collected with respect to month, the last trading day, what is the price. So that data will be considered as the monthly price of the stock. So that data is available for 24 months. So I double click on this and I can go to time scale, and in time scale what I can do, I can index. So when I say index, I can say it need to start from Jan. Then I can say sorry, instead of Jan I need to enter 1. So 1 is, it will consider as Jan. So I say OK, and then I click on OK. So it generates a graph. And now if you see, you will have the 24 data points coming here, 1 2 3 4. So what I can also do is, I can go to time scale. I can have it 1. Let us assume I have collected this data on a quarterly basis. So every 3 data points, right? So increment by 3. So what I can do is, I can say OK, and then I can again say OK. So then what will happen? Then you will find the data where the data is plotted on a quarterly basis. This is for Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4. So the data will be plotted like that, and you will get this data for how many months you have collected. So you will get this data for that. So this is how you have the time series plot. So we had only 24 data points, but here you are seeing 64. The reason is, we are incrementing the value for every 3 intervals. So you want to increment it for 1 interval, or you want to increment it for 3 interval or 6 interval, that you can decide. The other way of doing this is, I can go to the time scale, and instead of me saying index, I can say calendar, and in calendar I can select day, month, year, quarter. Here I'm going to select month, and then I say increment it by 1 month, and then if I say OK, and then again if I click OK, I'll be able to get a monthly chart where the month will be in your x-axis. So we all know a time series graph will always have a time related parameter as our x-axis. So this is a simple graph, and this is how we can draw one parameter with respect to time. Now we will understand what is a multiple graph. So now again I click on graph, I go to time series plot. This time I'm going to select multiple graphs. So as I select multiple graphs, and then if I click OK, I'll be able to select company A, and I'll also be able to select company B, right? And in time scale, I can say I want it in a calendar basis, and the unit is month. I can say OK, and then again I can click on OK. And when I do this, what happens? You have the price of company A, which is in blue color, and you have the price of company B, which is in red color, and this is INR, Indian rupees. So you will be able to compare the so more fluctuating, but it's also growing a lot, whereas this chart has very little variation, but it is not as increasing as the red color line. So you'll be able to compare two parameters on the same scale for the same time period when you are using a multiple graph. So this is about simple and multiple graph. Now we will again click on graph and we will click on time series plot. This time we are going to analyze something else. What we are going to analyze? We are going to analyze with groups. Now what do we mean by with groups? Let's understand. So let me click on OK. Now I am not going to analyze the stock price. Instead, I am going to analyze the customer satisfaction score of a contact center. So the CSAT score of a contact center is my graph variable, or that is the variable on which this graph is going to be drawn. And when I want to understand what is the group, so the contact center has CSAT score, but that CSAT score is generated for two line of business. One is for virus removal, another one is for customer support. This is for an antivirus software customer support team. So your calls can be broadly categorized into two groups. One is the contact center, where calls are getting received for virus removal. Another one is calls are getting received for customer support. So again I select line of business, I go to time and scale, and this time I say my data need to be, or my x-axis need to be taken from week. So why I select week? Because week 1 I have CSAT score for virus removal and customer support. Week 2, so week 1, week 2, the data is collected in a separate column. So I don't, earlier we did not have a column which was talking about the time related data. So we expected Minitab to understand each interval is a month or each interval is a week, but this time we have the data collected in a column. So hence I select that column header and then I click on OK. So now if I again click on OK, what you will understand is, you will understand what is the customer support CSAT score and virus removal CSAT score for 10 weeks. So for example, if you see week 1, the red color dot talks about the virus removal CSAT score, and the blue color dot talks about the customer support CSAT score. So week 1 there are two groups, and you can see the trend, pretty much the trend is almost the same except for small difference. For example, if you want to understand week 4, in week 4 virus removal is doing a good job, right, but customer support has not done a good job. But if you see week 2, week 3, virus removal and customer support both were falling, but when you see week 4, virus removal has done a very good job, whereas customer support has not done such a good job. But when it comes to week 5, both of them are pretty much catching up. Virus removal and customer support are catching up. So what you are able to understand is the overall CSAT score is fluctuating, and as the overall CSAT score is fluctuating, what is the contribution of these two groups? Are they also fluctuating in the same way, or among their trend is there any difference? So that is something that we are able to understand when we draw a time series plot for two different parameters on the same scale and for the same time period. So this is the third scenario that we want to understand. And now we will understand the fourth scenario. I click on graph and I click on time series plot. And this time I'm going to select multiple graphs with groups, right? So we have seen simple, we have seen multiple, then we have seen simple with groups. Now we are going to understand multiple graphs with groups. So when I select this and click OK, this time again I am going to understand, or I am going to study the trend of CSAT score with respect to time. So the new CSAT score will be CSAT underscore 1. And this time what is the multiple graphs for which I am going to understand? Model. So this CSAT score is for desktop computers or for laptop computers. So that is the model. And that is one of the factors. And in that desktop computer, did I fix this problem, or this call was received in voice queue or remote support? So voice queue is where we fix the entire issue through phone, and remote support is we are able to take the computer control through a remote support, and then we are trying to fix the problem. So that is support type. So I take model and support type into consideration, and then my CSAT score is my response parameter for which this graph will be drawn. Now when I click on time series or time scale, here again I am selecting week underscore 1, which is nothing but the time related parameter in the data that I am analyzing. So now I say OK, and then again I say OK. Now if you understand this graph, this is where it becomes little bit tricky, and sometimes it's also difficult to understand, because if you see here there are 4 different lines that we are seeing. And how do we understand this line? The one which is a blue color simple dot is a desktop model remote support. Red color square box is a desktop computer voice support. First, let's understand that. So here you have for week 1, you have your desktop voice, and the blue dot will be desktop remote support, right? So that's 1, 2. Then you have laptop remote support, which is a again a green color indicator, so a diamond indicator in green. And if you see here, the green diamond indicator is here, and the purple triangle indicator is laptop voice support. So here is the laptop voice support. So what happens, the first week information is available in 4 different places here, followed by second week information, followed by third week information. So what happens here is there are too many lines, and sometimes it will become very difficult for us to understand really what is the trend or who is contributing to what is happening to the overall CSAT score of the contact center. These are things which become difficult to understand through this time series plot. So my suggestion here would be to move on to a different type of a chart called multivariate chart. We have already explained what is a multivariate chart separately in a video. I will share the link of that video in this description. However, I am planning to upload another video where the same data I am planning to compare both with a time series plot and the same data with multivariate chart. So once we have the graphs generated through both these options, we'll be able to understand the pros and cons of how we can analyze multiple parameters with the groups for a response parameter with respect to time using a time series plot as well as using a multivariate chart. So let me once again quickly summarize, friends. When we click on graph and when we get into time series plot, we basically have 4 options: a simple time series plot, multiple time series plots for multiple parameters on the same scale and for the same time period, then a simple time series plot where we have groups and we can analyze movement of time series line with respect to group, and the fourth one is where we have multiple parameters as well as with groups which can be analyzed in a time series plot with the same scale and with the same time period for the analysis. So this is what we have seen in this video. As I was explaining, I'll post another video where once we reach this 4th category, sometimes the time series plot may not really explain what we are looking for, and that is where we need to move from time series chart or time series plot to a multivariate plot. So I'll explain that in a separate video comparing with the same set of data. Hope this video was useful. For more videos on Minitab tools and techniques, quality management related videos, please subscribe to our channel. Thanks for your time and thanks for watching.